So I'm back again with another video covering Grapple in Titanfall 2. Now since the last video I made, I've been working on it a little bit more, trying to figure out just a little more about what I'm trying to do. And while I did make some pretty big improvements in terms of how consistently I could get high and far, I wasn't quite consistently making it over the top. I was getting close and close and close, but just never, so close, but never quite there. So I decided to try something a little bit different. And once again, the smallest difference can have such a huge impact in how you're actually doing with your grapple. So what was that one little difference? Well, it's basically just how long you are looking away from the grapple catch point. So what I did was I decided to practice by doing what you're seeing right here. Basically just turning sideways, jumping, and pushing forward on my left analog stick for as long as I could go. And I'm doing that because I want to get a sense for the timing of when the grapple will let go. When I'm facing away from it, at least. And I want to do that because I want to know how long can I move away from the source of gravity, from the center of this grapple, before I have to start turning back in order to actually get the right height and the right distance, even if my aim is a little bit off like you saw right there. But I mean, frankly, even if your aim is just a little bit off, you can still do some pretty good routes here. Once you start getting the right height and the right distance, it gets a little bit easier to actually make the corrections. And so once I started actually trying to intentionally move away from that center point on the grapple, what I'm calling the source of gravity, the center of gravity for this pull from the grapple itself, that's when things started getting a lot easier for me. I started to very consistently get enough height and distance, as you're seeing me try this over and over and over. Now, of course, I'll tell you, I'm only showing you the highlights here. This is basically the best of all of my attempts at getting through this grapple route. And it's still difficult. I'm not saying this is easy by any means, but I mean, look at the height that I just got on that one. That was incredible. Made a little mistake right there. It got bounced off to the right when I wanted to go left, so it kind of ruined it. But the amount of height that I'm able to get and the distance that I'm getting just by making that one small change, now I am more consistently getting myself thrown over the top of the building, way past it, instead of just kind of hitting it every now and then and sort of getting on top of it. So now, with this improvement, I've started working on corrections. Since I have the height, since I have the distance, I've started looking at ways in which I can correct the direction, the trajectory of my pilot. And it turns out that everything that I was hearing from the other big name players, especially the grapplers, about how you really need to be able to bunny hop correctly was pretty much 100% correct. If you can't air strafe and bunny hop and do the whole skiing thing correctly, then you're really not going to know how to do the kind of mid-air corrections that you need to do in order to really make these grapple routes work. Because frankly, 90% of these grapple routes is just the skiing. It's one of the most important skills that you can have in movement in this game to begin with, but it's a huge part of the grapple process. So if you're looking at grapple as something that you really want to do for the movement and mobility in this game, well, you should probably look at spending some time with the bunny hop and air strafing first. And I've kind of sort of been able to do that for a long time with the way I have my controller set up with the extra buttons and everything, but it wasn't until I started getting good grapples all the time that I realized, I should be able to correct my trajectory in midair because I'm seeing these other players do that. So hopefully this little tip will help you get as far as you're seeing me and the other grapple people do. I mean, I'm certainly not the king of it by any means, but I'm getting pretty good at this point. Just make sure when you turn to the right after throwing your grapple hook, press forward for as long as you possibly can before you start turning back toward the grapple connection point, and you will launch high and far every single time. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed learning along with me as I'm trying to figure out the grapple. If you do like it, make sure you give a thumbs up, drop some love in the comments, and as always, happy gaming.